Greetings and welcome aboard Zack Back's Carousel of Theme Parks podcast. Now, most carousels just go round and round without getting anywhere, but on this one, we'll be talking theme parks. And now, here's your host, Zack Back. Greetings, everyone, and welcome to my Carousel of Theme Parks podcast. This is the introductory podcast with the idea of kind of introducing you to what it is that this podcast is about. So, first, I guess I'll start with some introductions because I feel like that's probably what you're interested in hearing about is just what is this? What am I listening to? So, my name is Zack Back. I am a theme park connoisseur, if you would. I'm just obsessed with theme parks overall, just in general. I love the stories that theme parks tell. I love the fun that is a theme park. And I've grown up through my entire life visiting a variety of theme parks. And within the last 5 years, I've been able to experience and visit so many theme parks in just that time period. And I'm obsessed with seeing new things and learning about new theme parks. So I had the idea where I wanted to look for a podcast out there that kind of told the story of theme parks, individual theme parks, that is. And then it kind of chatted about what I should do if I ever wanted to visit. Well, strangely enough, I couldn't find any theme park podcasts like that. And so I said, well, I guess if I can't find what I'm looking for, might as well make it. Because I'm sure someone is out there looking for that type of content. And I thought, well, I could provide it because I love theme parks. I have 2 degrees in theme park management from a wild standpoint. I have a degree in hospitality management with a focus in theme park management, and then I have a Bachelor of Science in theme park management. So much of my theme park degrees were spent studying the science of theme parks, studying what it means to be an employee, what it means to look at a guest experience, what it means to be in a merchandising in a theme park, what it means to be in food and beverage in a theme park. So it was all of the different facets that make up a theme park. And I was fascinated with one specific area that one of my classes touched on, and that was theme park history. I love the idea that each theme park out there has its own unique history. There's no theme park that has done the same thing to exist. If you look at, for example, Disneyland, the way that Disneyland came to exist is very different from that of Knott's Berry Farm, which is just down the street from Disneyland. Same thing here in Florida, because I live in Florida. If you look at SeaWorld, the history of SeaWorld Orlando is very, very different from that of Universal Studios Orlando. So there's a lot of unique stories here, even from the big players in the industry, and there's even more really ridiculous stories, honestly, really fascinating stories from smaller theme park operators, something like a regional theme park near wherever you live. Those theme parks have some of the most interesting stories, and they connect in some of the most interesting ways. And that's what I wanted to discover with this podcast, the Carousel of Theme Parks, if you would, because I'm fascinated with Carousel of Progress at the Magic Kingdom and its history in itself. That theme park attraction has a really thick history. And I also am fascinated with Carousel, so I just kind of brought it together and said, well, this is the Carousel of Theme Parks podcast, where we can talk about a variety of different theme parks out there in the world. Because I've even been to a few overseas in Europe, and I am fascinated by how different even those theme parks are versus the ones we have here in America. And I can't wait to truly discover those theme parks with you and to tell their stories, because I've been collecting theme park books for years at this point, and I have such a collection that I am so excited to really dive into to find out information for these podcast episodes for you. Now, I think it's important to kind of discover kind of how this theme park podcast is going to work, because I want you to know kind of what to expect. So the way I plan to record these episodes is that with each individual episode, it will be probably close to an hour long, each episode. So you have a good long hour long drive worth of listening, or wherever you listen to your podcasts, or in whatever way you listen to your podcasts. So the goal is to have it, as I said, an hour long. And then the first part of the episodes will be focused on the history of a specific theme park. So each episode itself will be designated to a specific theme park. And that park will be what the whole episode's about, with the first half of the episode, probably the first 30 minutes, maybe less. Depends on how much history each park has. But that first half of the episode will be designated to the history and the stories that are told about that park, whether it's like a backstory or maybe it's just the actual history. I want to kind of cover all of that, whatever they have to give me. And then the second half of that episode will be based on my personal experience, because most of the first initial, probably couple dozen episodes, I will have personal experience visiting or experiencing that park. And I want to kind of showcase, here's what I did that made that day successful for me, and then kind of talk about what I noticed in person that is a valuable resource about that park. So also through my research, whatever I see that's new that I wasn't there and didn't see when I visited, maybe what you should visit. But that's the goal of this podcast, is to really just highlight each theme park individually, talk about its strengths and its weaknesses, its stories and its histories, and talk about visiting it today and what it looks like. So I hope you enjoy the podcast in general. I do plan to have some other kind of rogue episodes thrown in the mix here and there, where I have friends of mine or acquaintances come in and kind of just talk about theme parks in general, because I have a lot of great friends who are big theme park buffs just like myself, and they love to talk theme parks. So it's one of these episodes I will bring in special guests for, so that we can just chat about theme parks. So I hope you enjoy the podcast, and the Carousel of Theme Parks podcast is a success. I hope that it is available and it becomes a regular moment of listening for you, so that you can learn something new. The goal of the podcast is to teach you something about a theme park that you've either been interested in hearing about or you've never heard of before. And I find that if you if you step away from this podcast and you realize you learned something about somewhere you didn't know about, I feel like my quest is complete. And I hope that you enjoy the podcast. I'm not going to keep saying this over and over again, but check out the next episode. My first episode I've already actually got recorded, and I plan on releasing it soon. And it will be about my first ever theme park, the one I first ever visited as a child, and I visit still to this day. I'm actually still a season pass holder, and that is for Dollywood in Pigeon Forge, Tennessee. I grew up in southwestern Virginia, along the Kentucky-Virginia border, and we were only a couple hours away from Dollywood, so most years we would go to Dollywood 2 or 3 times a year, sometimes more, and it was always a great place, and I still enjoy it even living in Florida today, to visit. So I can't wait to share with you the detailed history of Dollywood, from the early days before Dolly Parton had a connection to the park, all the way up into modern day, whenever we see all of these unique attractions being built year after year on a very staggered basis, but in a very consistent basis. So I can't wait to share that with you here on the Carousel of Theme Parks podcast. I really do believe that you will enjoy it. So make sure you check out the next episode. And if you ever have any questions, comments, concerns, or anything like that, just make sure to shoot us a message. I have several different ways you can reach out to me. You can find me on all social media as It's Zack Back. That's my personal information. You can find me anywhere. And then you can find the podcast channels with a Instagram channel called Carousel of Theme Parks Podcast. It's literally just that. And then you can find a Facebook page, Carousel of Theme Parks Podcast. There will also be a YouTube page. This is where I'm going to post the video versions of the podcast episodes. So if you're not the kind of person who listens to podcasts directly through a service such as Apple Podcasts or Spotify or wherever you get your podcasts, then I will also have it available on YouTube as a video that's kind of just like attached to an audio. So it'll be a very plain, maybe with a logo with the audio transcript attached, so that if you want to just listen to a video instead, then you can, by all means. I want to make this podcast as accessible as possible. So, as I said, if you have any questions, comments, concerns, or suggestions, please reach out in any of the comment sections. You can send me a message anywhere, and I can try to integrate it into the podcast. This is a learning curve for me, and it's also something that I'm completely doing on my own. So, like, I'm editing these podcasts, I'm adding the fun audios. Hopefully, I'm able to do that. And I'm also recording it in my free time in my closet. So, there's a lot of great places for me to do this. And honestly, I have cats in my house, so they like to make noise, and that's not great for a podcast. So, maybe one day you'll hear my cats on the actual recording. But regardless of that, I'm trying to do my best to make sure it's nice and clear and that you can understand every word I say. So without further ado, thanks for listening. I hope you enjoyed this little short snippet. It's about a 15-minute long episode where you kind of learned a little bit about me and about the podcast. And I hope you will tune in for the next one as we really, truly get started and get the ball rolling with Dollywood. So, in the meantime, I do invite you to find me on all of my social media platforms. That's going to be the Carousel of Theme Parks podcast. You can find that on most social media. So, follow us there for our latest episode updates. And but you'll see the Dollywood episode posted shortly after this one so that you can get started right away. And then I'll be working on my next episode, which I don't really know what I'm doing yet. But I have a whole list of plans, so I will figure out which theme park I'm going to explore next. But for the meantime, I invite you to follow me on all the Instas, on all of the social medias, everything, so that you can be up to date with the next and latest podcast. Thanks again, and we'll see you next time here on the Carousel of Theme Parks podcast.